Actually makes sense. All right, we'll start it up. First story of the day is about the Russiagate, Russia collusion conspiracy theory that has been perpetuated by late night hosts. They've repeated it. You've had all of mainstream media basically besides Fox News. You've had New York Times, Washington Post, Huffington Post, Vox. I mean, even non-political celebrities who never get political are literally just like Trump, Russia. You got Jim Carrey painting pictures. Trump, Russia, Trump, Russia. You got Morgan Freeman. Russia is our enemy. They are waging war on the world. I mean, it's one of the widest spread, what I would call conspiracy theories of the modern era. And I want to quote, not to be like, I hate to use this comparison, but it just is basic psychology. You know, Joseph Goebbels, who's the Nazi propagandist of Nazi Germany, I'm not comparing this to Nazi Germany, but his whole strategy, if you read his quotes, was if you lie enough times, it becomes the truth. Like, he had no intention, according to what I've read, of actually telling the truth, but he's like, you make the lie big enough, that's all you got to do. You put 10,000 lies together, it'll become truth. So it really is the same tactics. And people I always talk to, I'm like, so why don't you like Trump? And they have very valid reasons sometimes, I'm not going to lie. But a lot of what I hear is like, Trump colluded with Russia. And I'm like, tell me how he colluded with Russia. They have no idea. And then I'll explain, I'm like, did you know that Bill Clinton did a $500,000 speech for a Kremlin-linked bank? Did you know that we sold 20% of United States uranium to Russia, you know, under the Obama administration with Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State? Yes, of course, other people signed off on it, but there's credible reporting, even by the New York Times, that says, you know, over $100 million was flowing to the foundation during that time. It seems like it could be Russian collusion. I'm not going to sit here and say it's 100% for sure, but there's a lot of evidence there. And they're like, no, I've never heard of any of that stuff. And I'm like, so why do you think Trump colluded with Russia? And they're like, well, they don't know. It's like Roger Stone, you had the FBI run up in his house, has nothing to do with Russian collusion. You have, what's his name, Manafort, they made a big deal about. They arrested him. I don't know if he went to jail. I think so. For something that was like before the Trump administration, because he had shady deals in like 2000, in the early 2010s. It's like, has nothing to do with Russia collusion. The whole narrative has been a lie from the very beginning. And first off, I want to say respect, because, you know, I'm very critical of some people, but from the left and the right, shout out to people on the right wing who have told this truth for 2 years now. Shout out to progressive socialists, anarchists, communists, whatever they call themselves, like, what's her name? Caitlin Johnstone, who low-key annoys me, and I want to debate her, but she's afraid to debate me. It's okay. She told the truth about Russiagate, so congrats, Caitlin. Congrats, people like Jimmy Dore. I believe Kyle Kalinske told the truth about it. So congrats to all my friends on the progressive left, you know, to the right wing, who have told the truth about this for 2 years as media lied and smeared and lied, and there's just no evidence. This came out today. Senate committee finds no direct evidence of Trump-Russia collusion. This is not Breitbart reporting it. This is not Alex Jones. This is not Fox News reporting it. It was actually NBC News reporting. Approaching the end of 2 years, 200 interviews. I mean, you think they wouldn't be able to find if Trump was working with Russia? Every single television station hates him. Every single journalist hates him. They're literally flying all over the world. They're like, wait, it's like some Russian prostitute Instagram model in jail, and she's like, I might have no information on Trump. And literally, they fly out there and interview her, and she's like, I'm just lying. I'm just an Instagram prostitute, and I was looking for some attention. It's like, they'll do anything. You think they wouldn't have found it by now? You have the CIA, the FBI. You have mainstream intelligence communities that clearly, like, the heads of them and, like, the former heads of them are like, we don't like Trump. They have everything on everybody. You think they wouldn't be able to find out this stuff? He never colluded with Russia. I'll give you a hint. You could not like Trump. That's fine. You don't have to be a Republican or conservative. I don't consider myself either. I'm not responsible for all the weird stuff they do. I'm libertarian-ish. You know, hands out of my pockets. Big government clearly doesn't work. Power to the people. You can call it what you want, but you don't have to be that. You could even, like, that's why I brought up left-wing people. I think their policies are miserable, but I respect them for not lying to themselves about this. It doesn't add up. Trump likes this country. Some would say too much. You know, that's the criticism of Trump, is he's like, he's a nationalist. How dare him be the president of the United States of America and love Americans. Like, whoa, how crazy that is that we have a president who really loves the culture, the country, and the people from here legally. Like, he doesn't care. He's literally, and the reason I say this stuff is because Trump is actually like a liberal conservative. Like, he was honestly the first openly pro-gay person we've had. I mean, when it was not cool to be pro-LGBT, Hillary, Obama, Tulsi Gabbard, you name it, they weren't really pro that stuff. I don't know that Trump ever really cared. So he's one of the first politicians to be openly in support of the LGBT stuff when it wasn't cool. Just like Roseanne, she supported, black female writers when it wasn't cool. Now all of a sudden that it's the cool thing, they're like, you're racist. Look how not racist I am. Look, it's like, all right, you're not fooling anybody. So the reason I say this stuff is because there are people on the far right. And to be honest, they might rise if you don't take advantage of this era. If you start lying and screaming and propping up these far left people who are total liars and losers, you might get somebody way more right-wing than Donald Trump. And honestly, I don't want to go there. But I see how things are unfolding, and I'm like, you think Trump is bad? Keep screwing up. You're going to get someone crazier. You'll get someone like a Bolsonaro, or God forbid, a dictator, crazy, loony leader, who really is actually racist, as opposed to Trump, who's literally not racist at all. The media has been lying about nearly everything about him, and he's not perfect, but it's like, he loves America. If you look at what he's actually doing, not just his words, he's the most bullish towards Russia, I would say, at least in the last 10, 15 years. You have him deleting our treaty with Russia. They're like, Trump's empowering Russia by fighting Russia, putting sanctions on them, literally being hard with them. The only thing that he did that's pro-Russia, or at least they perceive, is in Syria. He ended the Syrian war, basically, and Russia, it was like a little proxy war, and I get that people were bullish there. I guess I get the idea, but Trump has been harder on Russia in almost every other way. And then they're like, he's friends with Russia by going hard on them and letting them build better weapons. It's like, no. Trump loves America. Vladimir Putin loves Russia. It's really not that hard. And every inch, every little bit of foreign collusion that they claim Donald Trump did, they're actually doing. I'll give you multiple examples. If you want to look at foreign influence in media, the BBC is Britain state-funded. Al Jazeera is Qatar state-funded. You have whatever the one from Canada is. You have multiple countries that have state-funded, literal government-funded news organizations running rampant throughout the United States. That's fine. I don't care. I'm just saying it's true. China took out a full-page ad, anti-Trump, anti-worker ad in Des Moines. I don't know if I pronounced that right, Iowa. They're like buying out multiple pages in a huge newspaper there. That's foreign influence in media. It's the Chinese government, or at least the Chinese government affiliated. It's like a communist out there-ish, communist-ish. They're buying full-page ads. No one cares. Saudi Arabia, billionaires are influencing even things like Fox News and News Corp, Lyft, Twitter. Name something that they're not really getting involved in. So that's just countries right there. I'll give you another one that's very unpopular on the right wing. No one wants to hear this, but it's just true. AIPAC, just like Ilhan Omar said. No one wants. Oh my God, she said AIPAC. It's literally, look up the Wikipedia. It's in its definition. They're not even hiding it. They're like, we're a pro-Israel lobbying group to lobby government politicians towards Israel. I'm not saying I'm anti-Israel. What I'm saying is there's foreign collusion everywhere, and no one talks about it. And then you have former politicians like Barack Obama. He's on a microphone, literally, like, they caught him on a hot mic whispering to a Russian after. He's like, hey guys, he's like, after the election, I'm going to have a lot more flexibility. Like, that clip alone is more proof of interference or collusion than anything Trump's done ever. He literally didn't collude with Russia. He actually tapped into the American people, and this crazy propaganda conspiracy theory, which was Russian collusion. They have the nerve to call me a conspiracy. Some people, not many, but they're like, Anomaly's a conspiracy theorist. Look at his NASA video. In that video, I'm quoting NASA, and I'm just asking a question. How dare you put your hand down? Don't ask a question. They said it themselves. It's in Reuters. It's everywhere. The stuff about Uranium One, it's in the New York Times. It's not, or even a right-wing newspaper. It's a left-wing newspaper that claims to be centrist. Russia collusion is the biggest conspiracy theory of the modern era. I mean, I would say there's another one. I don't even want to name it for the sake of, not now. I'll talk about it later. But the Senate committee is finding no direct evidence. It's a nothing burger. It's been a nothing burger. The only reason that people don't think it's a nothing burger is because they've been wooed and blinded by media figures who are basically just puppets for left-wing politicians, and to be honest, also Republican establishment like your George Bush, Mitt Romney, McCain's. I'm sorry, they lied to you. Colbert, Kimmel, SNL, the comedians you trusted, Jim Carrey, Morgan Freeman, you name it, they hyped up something that never made sense to begin with. And I'm not sure why they lied to you. I'm sorry that they did. And I just want to say too, there's also clips from the Mitt Romney election when he ran. He was talking about Russia, and all the Democrats now that are screaming Russia were saying, dude, what is this, the 1960s and 70s? You're so old, Mitt Romney. Like, you think Russia's not our ally? You think we're at war with Russia? They were making fun of Mitt Romney for doing that. So was a lot of left-wing media, until they lost the election. They don't care a lick about foreign. If you want to look at foreign influence, China, Saudi Arabia, and Israel influenced the United States much more than Russia did. And Russia's been psychologically subverting United States very sneakily since the 70s and 80s. I'm not saying that they're not infiltrating and influencing, but their dream is to have a bunch of leftists running around who hate their country, who hate themselves, who don't believe in border and military. You think smaller military and no border security, you think that's, Russia really wants us to have strong borders and strong military. Like, no, they don't like Trump. They like leftists. Anyway, second story I want to talk about is blatant